Hello. Here we are once again at ye old Halton Trow. Welcome everybody. How do Eric in Cyprus? Scuba diving at the moment. Had to get away from wife. Oh mate, I hope she doesn't watch. You lucky beggar. Right guys, as most of you should know, we've got Stuart Roberts' interview this evening, and he's waiting in the wings. He's raring to go. He's locked his wife and kids out of the room so he doesn't get disturbed. So we'll be kicking off that any minute now. Right, what we got? Eric finally made an account. Yep, that's cool. Lovely. One thing, guys, that I didn't realise from last week is, since I changed the format of the screen a little bit, is instead of your questions coming up at the bottom, the new questions come up at the top. But I've sussed that now, so we should be all right with that. Okay, right. Without further ado, let's pop over and meet the founder of one of the fastest growing and, more importantly, most friendly plastering help forums for plasterers, for newbies, for time served spreads. Everybody is welcome on there, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. But there is, but not when it's concerning plastering. Okay, so we're going to find out a bit more tonight about the man behind Trow Talk, not only the Facebook group but also the YouTube channel of the same name. And when I hit this button, hopefully Stuart will appear. Hey, Stuart. Can you hear me?
Good evening. How are you all?
Good evening. I'm hoping very much, mate. I'm just going to ask the guys if they can see you or not. Oh, best plastering group on there. That's right. That's right, Mark. Oh, Mark Shepherd, that is, mate. Hey, top man.
How are you doing, Mark? Good to hear that you're on here, mate. I knew you'd be on here tonight, so I appreciate you tuning in.
Good job it's work, mate, isn't it?
As you always do.
Otherwise you would. Oh, you know he's only tuned in tonight, mate, because he knows you're going to be on here. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Stuart, for joining us tonight. And
no problem. Pleasure.
Basically, what quite a few people want to know is, why the hell did you get into plastering in the first place, mate? Fire away.
Why did we get into plastering? Well, my story is probably typical of a lot of spreads. So I left school, didn't do great at school.
Yeah.
I was good with my hands. I ended up leaving school not very confident, if I'm honest, in terms of skills. So the idea I had was just to get a bit of money in my pocket. So I ended up just getting a job in a factory, which is literally up the road from my home.
Yeah.
And I partly thought that would be enough, to be honest, as long as I'm working. But the same, my confidence wasn't particularly high at that point. I was at 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left school, straight into the factory. Soon figured out that the factory life wasn't really for me. Didn't like being stuck in the same four walls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd see we're actually making plastic windows. So the builders would turn up in their shorts and t-shirts, whistling away.
What, in the winter?
To pick up their orders. Well, yes, it depends where you live.
Oh, true, mate. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Stu. Carry on, mate.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd see these builders coming in. They seemed quite jovial, seemed quite happy. And I'd said to one of the lads, "Where do you work? Who do you work for?" And he said, "I'm a builder." I said, "Are you looking for any lads at the minute?" And he said, "Well, my gaffer's looking for a labourer."
Yeah.
So to cut a long story short, I ended up working with these local builders, doing a bit of labouring. That led on to me being introduced to a couple of old boy plasterers who were looking for a plasterer's mate.
Yeah.
So I spent many an hour mixing up sand and cement for these old boys doing damp proofing.
Not with a whisk though, mate, was it?
It was in to be fair, I had an electric valley mixer, so it weren't too bad.
Oh, no, fair dues.
Sweet, really, weren't I? Yeah. But not like the old shovel and bath.
No, okay.
So yeah, they wouldn't let me on the tools though, not for a long time, and maybe probably a number of months before they'd let me on the tools.
They want you spoiling their work,
and that's it, yeah. I don't take the credit, will I? But yeah, it was going okay, and unfortunately, life threw me a bit of a curveball. Ended up getting taken ill. I spent a little bit of time in hospital with a heart condition called pericarditis.
Okay.
My boss panicked and sacked me and said there was a liability.
Well, I didn't want you dropping on the job.
he didn't want me dropping on the job, mate. Which is, I mean,
Lovely bloke, mate. Yeah.
I was angry at the time.
Mm.
I was angry with him at the time for a while.
Yeah, don't blame you.
But I say I've let that go now, and it's his own crap that he has to deal with. So
Yeah.
but as a result, I was back to square one. So I was just about starting to get it off the hook, just about putting a scratch coat on, and then the rug was pulled from under my feet. So so then I was back at the drawing board, as I say, and I was writing letter after letter to local spreads, getting the same message back, which is we can't take you on because we've got no money.
Right.
So I thought I'll try some local builders again, and just by chance, a chap called Steve Borden took me on and took me under his wing.
Yeah.
And he trained me up fully in all aspects of plastering, sand and cement, floor screeding, float and set. We did dot and dab, skimming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a lot to be thankful for Steve doing that and giving me that opportunity. And to be honest, if it weren't for him taking me on and training me like that, I don't know if I'd be a plasterer today. I'm not sure if I'd end up back in the factory. So it meant a lot to me, the fact that he went out of his way to not only just give me a job, but also train me and pass down his skills. And it really got to me, that did. And I thought, because I experienced a lot of negativity during my years as a labourer, which is part of the reason why I started the group. Is although I'd come into contact with a lot of good blokes that look, son, this is how you do it, and they'd train me, I also come into contact with a lot of guys that were reluctant to pass down skills, and that bothered me a little bit. And this idea of, if I pass my skills down to you, then that weakens me, and I'm not willing to do that. And I say, when I did meet Steve and he was the opposite, it meant a lot. And part of starting the group really was based around this idea of helping others, and the toxicity that happens on some of the bigger groups. But this is not naming any names.
So this is coming into what started you thinking about doing like Trail Talk as a forum, because of the others being a little bit,
Absolutely, yeah. So I was a member of the bigger groups, one in particular, and I'm not here to throw any other groups under the bus or anything like that. But I did notice that there was a lot of bullying, a lot of toxicity, especially aimed at the beginners and the younger spreads. And they'd get their post shot down and they'd be ridiculed just for asking basic, simple questions, really. And this went on and on. And issues would be reported to admin, but sometimes it would seem that admin were part of the problem, and sometimes they'd even take part in this bullying and the trolling that went on. So it was one particular evening where I was reading some comments on this group, which also had a lot of good lads on there, by the way. It weren't just full of idiots. I was reading through the comments, and I actually seen someone, again, not naming any names, but there was someone saying, you should really just go and top yourself and go and hang yourself, because you'll never be a good plasterer.
So out of order.
And I thought, this is absolutely, this has gone too far now, And I sat there on the sofa and I said to my wife, I've had enough of this group, I'm leaving. She said, oh, you've been on there years, you love it. I said, there's part of it, there's parts of the group that I love, but there's parts of the group that are just wrong, so wrong. And I said, I've had enough. I've tried flagging some of these issues to admin and they don't want to know. I said, I'm going to just start my own group up. And that's what sort of sparked me to start Trail Talk. Was I was sick and tired of the toxicity on the other groups, and I thought, I've got some good ideas of my own. And I started off, it was literally me, Lee Griffiths, and a couple of other guys, and it was just us three talking amongst themselves. And that was last March, and now we're at like 4,500 members. Easy Mix have jumped in and got involved and offered some competitions. We've had One-Stop Shop. They've just put a competition on this week, and
great interview on there, mate. Well done for that.
Chris Ferriani, and it's opened up so many doors, and there's so much positivity buzzing around on the group. It's just exploded, really. And again, I wasn't expecting it. It was just me and a few mates really chatting about plastering, and from there, it's I think this idea of helping others, and there was so much toxicity on the other groups that people were fed up of. I think as soon as my group popped up, they thought, right, I'm all on this, and a lot of them come over onto Trial Talk. So I
mean,
couldn't be more
Mark,
thankful. I've got a lot to.
No, saying Mark Neeson, he sort of said, "Are you surprised at our?" I said, "Oh, you can ask him some questions tonight," and they started putting questions on my forum for you. Oh, I kind of thought, okay, give me a break.
Okay,
it's only Friday or Saturday or whatever it was. But yeah, and he said, "Were you surprised by how quickly it's grown? Because you've not been going that long, really, mate, as Trail Talk, is it? But you got."
I am surprised, yeah. I mean, I have hit it hard on the YouTube channel as well, because my thinking behind that was there's a lot of young guys that are on YouTube. And I thought, well, if I can appeal to them and maybe get them coming on board, we can get a wider audience and a more diverse audience.
It's definitely worked, mate.
I think the YouTube channel has helped. Yeah, it has helped to bring in a lot of the younger spreads, and also spreads from all different parts of the world as well. That have been involved, people from America and all sorts. So yeah, it has grown a lot faster than we anticipated. And while Mark's on there, I just want to say a massive shout out to Mark and Marcus and Matt Cadden as well, just for helping.
Top geezers, mate. Top geezers.
Appreciate it, lads. Thank you.
Without doubt.
Top geezers.
I think it was Pete Carter said to me that even on Trail Talk, the Facebook group, he even noticed that some of the guys that are a little bit rude, shall we say, to be polite, on the other forums that have popped onto Trail Talk seem to be a lot more respectful when they're on there. So, I think that kind of proves a point, mate, that when you stand your ground and say, look, guys, this forum is for helping anyone that's interested in plastering, from the beginner up to the your time served, like yourself. And if you're there to help as a forum, we don't need all this stuff. And if you're going to mess about, you're out. Simple as that. If you want to banter like that, then go and banter on one of the other groups. There's plenty of them, but none of them as friendly as Trail Talk, mate. Exactly. Which is, I think, another reason it'll just go from strength to strength as time goes by, mate.
Yeah, as you say, it started that culture from the get-go. Like you say, it's a culture of helping, and as soon as there is any sign of bullying or trolling or ridicule, we don't mess about. It's a zero tolerance, and I think that's the only way it could have been set up, really, because as soon as you let a little bit in, it opens the floodgates and everybody starts jumping in, and it goes from a little bit of banter. You know yourself, it can quickly go from banter to abuse quite quickly. So I think it's about nipping it in the bud, and it's good to hear that people respect that culture. And then I've not noticed the difference on other groups, because I'm not on any of the other groups anymore, because I got kicked off sharing Trail Talk.
I'll probably get kicked off of them for keep advertising Easy Mix. That's the only post I ever put on the other groups. Is kind of like, that Eric DeValmancy for it. Just put up another flipping advert that apparently he's not meant to.
That's it. I think they got fed up seeing the blue logo flashing up every 5 minutes. Thought, all right, mate, you're taking the mickey now.
You don't need them, mate, at the end of the day. it's very organic, and I think it's just going to go from strength to strength anyway, mate. But coming just a little bit off of the plastering side, and I've mentioned this to you, so I don't think you've got an issue with me bringing it up. Back in the day, mate, I had 2 daughters. Okay, but quite stressful, and I thought, that's it. I wouldn't want any other kids by any means in my life. I was very surprised, mate, to find out that you got 5 kiddies on the go there.
I was surprised. Yeah, I think everyone plans 2, don't they? And they'll have 1 of each. And then what happened with us is they were so cute. When they're sort of toddling around at age 2, you think, oh, he looks like me, let's have another one. And then you have another one, and before you know it, you're outnumbered. So, but you can just have 2 for everyone watching. You don't need to get silly like me and go after 5 of them. But
go on.
I'm building an army of spreads. That's what it is.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I just don't know how you cope with the day-to-day. I think one of the other guys said as well, how do you like how much time do you spend on sort of social media, plastering related, on top of trying to get your work-life balance at home, and obviously when you're out all day on the job, and having sort of
Getting that balance right is tricky. I don't think any of us have got it nailed, have we?
for sure.
But family time for me is really, really, really important. And I do have periods of time where I block out time and I'll just unplug. So throughout the working day, I'll be, bashing out the plaster on the tools, and then every sort of 20 minutes I will be constantly checking the news feed. And then again in the evenings, I'll block out some part of the evening where I'm not online, and then dedicate. So it is a bit of a juggling act, and there's a lot of plate spinning that goes on. But I think it's about prioritising what's important, isn't it? And trying not to get too tunnel visioned either on one thing or the other. So, but it is a battle.
Oh no! Are you ever turning the phone off, or just keeping it to one side and not?
Yeah, I do. I've chucked it on aeroplane mode sometimes when I'll just, it depends on how much I'm getting. It's like, come on.
I know that one.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, for example, dinner times, there's no screens at the table.
No, fair dues, yeah.
So we'll have that sacred time, which I think is being lost. Well, it doesn't work out every day. Sometimes it'll be a bit of a, pizza on the sofa job.
Yeah.
But we do try and block out at least 2 or 3 times a week where we're all sat around the dinner table, there's no screens, and we all get to have a little chat and see how each other's day's going, and just try and have that close family bond as much as you can in today's busy world.
Yeah.
But you know what it's like, even the kids are all on their iPads and their iPhones as well, so we're all addicted.
Oh, mate,
I think it's important just to put it sometimes. Put it down.
I mean, me and the missus, when
Not tonight, though.
and both my daughters still lived at home, we would literally be that family where the 4 of us are sitting in there. We start texting each other, and you think, really? What's it come to?
I'll tell you what, we've got a great system because our 2 older kids are on the top floor, so I converted the loft to squeeze us all in. And when dinner's ready now, we just use Alexa, and we just say, look, Alexa, tell Lola's dinner's ready. And we don't have to run up and downstairs anymore. Right. So technology has got its uses.
Oh, it's great stuff, mate. Oh, I'd like being able to do this. Thankfully, it seems to have worked out.
Yeah. And, yeah. Well, you're a bit of a whiz when it comes to this, YouTube stuff and multi-screens. And I'm still learning.
Trying hard, mate. You're the man to go. Trying hard. No, it's all a bit crazy. I mean, media stuff and doing all this kind of thing is I know, like when I first started doing this, I asked the plasterer and I thought, well, I'll just try it out as a crack, and it kind of kicked off, and I thought, well, just keep doing it. And then like if you look at, because they're all still online, if you look at like Ask the Plasterer 1, it's not bad if I do say so myself, but it's it's just me with my wardrobes behind me, and I've got a couple of videos playing, and that was about it. But I had a good old chat with 2 or 3 other guys. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, I'll do it again. And it's good stuff, mate. It's good stuff.
It's a brilliant idea. In all fairness, it's an original idea as well. So I don't know any other spreads that have thought about doing the live Q&A. So I cottoned on straight away, and I thought this is fantastic. And again, it was one of the reasons I started up my channel, because I thought, there's obviously a lot of interest for it, and you come across as such a nice
thanks,
bloke.
mate. Well, a bit like yourself, then, mate. Let's have a cuddle.
Hey.
Let's have a cuddle.
Don't make me blush. No, it's top
cool.
idea, mate.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about tonight is, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, is your kind of going forward with either like your business, with the group, with your fact that you want to bring younger guys into the game, keen on apprenticeships, which are obviously like a fantastic idea, especially the way things are at the minute. Do you know kind of where you might want to try and kind of go from this point, or are you kind of like taking it a day at a time? Or
I've got a few ideas in the pipeline. From a business point of view, you mentioned about the kids and juggling work and family. I've sort of purposely keep the business small today. And the reason for that is as we touched on earlier, it's about having that family time while the kids are still young.
Yeah.
I don't personally think it's possible to grow and have 10, 15 blokes on the tools, and you got all the admin and the bookkeeping and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's heavy going,
and
mate.
have it's I mean for all the spreads I know that I've got more than 3 or 4 lads.
Yeah.
They're absolutely flat out, and they really are putting the hours in.
Yeah.
If they're not on the tools, and they're out hunting down work to
Yeah.
keep them going. And
Yeah.
I know that you've done that, and it can be really, really, really stressful.
Absolutely, mate.
So,
yeah, it didn't agree with me at all.
No, and I say keeping it small at the minute is the plan, so I get that time with the family. But we have got some plans to join the British Gypsum Certified Plasterer scheme. So we've had some chats with Paul and Gary.
What does that entail
British
exactly?
Gypsum. So basically, they're looking for quality lads that can demonstrate, high quality working customer service, and it just differentiates yourself from the crowd, so you can get the brand out there, get the logo on your van, all that sort of stuff. But alongside that, it also they offer like training programs for their products. So I had a chat about possibly training in Weber, because the silicon render stuff.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Something I've never looked at.
No, me neither.
Yeah, so I'm a sand and cement man like yourself. I rarely do rendering.
Same here now.
We're always inside. We've got enough work all year round to keep us going.
Yeah, inside's best.
But I've always been you got the tea and the biscuits.
Oh, lovely.
So but I've always been intrigued by the silicon render, and it's obviously a skill, and it's another string to add to your bow. So I said to Matt, when the time's right, to get involved with this scheme and see what training programs pop up, and we'll go from there. But what else are we doing in the business side of it? So we might be looking at some of the resin render stuff that I think it's a bit like the silicon render.
What goes on the walls?
But it's yeah. So you'll do like you'll walk through for bathroom out, for example. So rather than tile, you'll have the resin plaster on there. Marcus Barron, one of the mods, he's quite keen to train up in this area, and he's been in touch to say, is it something you'd be interested in? So we're keeping our ears to the ground for potential training courses for that.
Okay, mate, cool.
And in terms of as far as crowd talk goes, plans for the future, what I really like to do is maybe in the future do some kind of training program for trades. I think one of the issues with taking on apprentices for a sole trader is obviously having that cash there. So it's getting the support from the government, but also getting them business skills in place for us sole traders, so that we are bringing in regular money and we are turning over money consistently, so that we can look at taking on staff on a full-time basis rather than just bringing in a mate when we need them.
Right. Okay.
And then alone again. So I think that's half the battle with sole traders. It is quite a big commitment, and it is quite a big financial risk taking on a full-time member of staff, because obviously there's pension to think about and a holiday pay and all the rest.
There's quite a lot of legal side. As soon as you're taking someone on, you can't just keep them for so long and then go, you know what, mate, I don't like you. You shouldn't hook, because
that's
so
you're not. That was the good old days. That's it. I mean, I did that. A lot of spreads operate like that, where you might be ticking over on your small jobs, and then and again you'll get a big old job come in, and you think, I'm not going to be able to hit that ceiling out on my own. And you'll call on your mates, or you'll call on another small team that but I mean, it helps us, but it doesn't do the trade any favours long term, because obviously if we carry on with those habits approaching retirement, and we end up retiring with our skills to ourselves and don't get a chance to pass them down. So I think by helping the sole trader to skill up a little bit, it's not about being Alan Sugar, or it's just about getting that regular, getting the work consistent. So I think it starts with your marketing and works down from there. And I say building up your client base so it's regular and consistent, and then you're able to on a young lad.
Yeah.
So, but that's the plan anyway.
All sounds good, mate. Do you? What I'm going to do? I've got a couple more questions I want to ask you, but in the meantime, guys, some of the guys have been putting stuff up here. What have we got? Lots of people saying like, "Yeah, hello," and some fella called Mark Shepherd. Easy mix all the way. Don't know what he means. Anyway,
Never
heard of him.
Are you, Mark?
We've got yes, Danny. Sorry, Danny, I ain't got my glasses on. I'm doing the resin render course in Leeds a week on Friday. That's Danny. Oh, Plasterate, Danny, that is. What else we got there? Stephen Tucker. Why are the courses so expensive to learn plastering methods? I don't know, mate. Do you know?
I've never run a course, but I suppose I've got the overhead of the premises and the staff, and then the material costs and whatnot, and the insurances. So, off the top of my head, I can imagine it'll pop up. That'll topped up on it. You'd have to ask the lads that run the courses why it's so expensive, but that's what I'd say off the top of my head. It's going to be the overheads and the outgoings.
I mean, because renting a place
we've all got to put bread on the.
Yeah,
we've all got to put bread on the.
Yeah, because like renting a place in London's not going to be cheap or anywhere near London.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Yeah, guys, if you want to ask, while Stuart's agreed to answer any questions that you might have of him or of me, I've got a couple more questions to ask him. But if you want to type up anything while you got the chance, but don't all rush at once though, because Stuart might want to go and put his feet up. Because he deals with plastering all day, as most of us do. Mate, what have I got written down here? Oh yeah, I had to ask you this, mate. Are you injury free?
You know what? I am, and I do get. Well, I'm telling a lie. I get a little niggle in the right shoulder. I've mentioned this a few times. If I'm doing real heavy stuff, I am. Yeah. Now and again, if we've been really going at it, I will get a little twinge on my left elbow, but it's nothing chronic, and it's nothing that causes me too much aggro. It tends to be a case of slapping on a bit of deep heat rub, bit of cling film around it just before I go to bed, and by the time I wake up 7 o'clock the next morning, it's gone, and I'm all good. But that only flares up a couple of times a year, and if I've really been hitting the sand and cement hard, or doing it, what I find is scooping out of the tub, especially dabbing, because obviously you're mixing that gear up so stiff. Scooping out all day, it really takes it out of my elbow. But apart from that, mate, apart from that, I'm all good injury-wise. Cool. Got no injuries, so don't know whether that's because I'm lazy or I'm not working hard enough. But no, in all this, I've tried to avoid the meterage. I did a little bit of that carry on in my 20s, but I quickly learned that it was a race to the bottom, if I'm honest, and I went into the domestics.
Can't be a domestics, mate, in my opinion.
I just that's it. Yeah. Chasing them meters, it's a young man's game, isn't it? When you start pushing mid-30s, I think you need to look at other avenues and try and get the prices up where you can to avoid the repetitive strain injuries that we see a lot of. Often, I think, a result of chasing the meters.
Oh, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Something I've got to ask you, mate. Favourite trowel? Have you got one?
Favourite trowel? I'm still a Marshalltown man.
You can't beat the classic, mate.
Marshalltown all the way. You can't, mate. 14-inch Marshalltown, stainless steel. There's no maintenance there. I do finish with a Nina Superflex too. Sure, more work with a Superflex. And I've got a big, big old 20-inch ox stainless steel
20-inch
that we use when. So what we'll do, we'll lay on. Depending on the job, obviously. If we've got miles of flat board, for example, we'll lay on and we'll either use the spat or we'll chase down with this 20-inch ox, and we'll find that it flattens off so lovely. I mean, ox gets a bit stick, I think, but as a brander, to be honest, I've had a fair few trials now, ox, and they've not let me down. A pretty good brand.
Yeah, apart from me Marshalltown, obviously, is speed. I've got ox speed skims. Using Ultraflex, that's an ox as well, and mate, it's all good stuff. Hey, what we got here? What are these courses? Oh, we did that one, didn't we? How's it going down your way, lads, with domestic prices? Seems like a lot of lads up north on domestics have gone mad and working for nothing, undercutting. Yeah, shouldn't have to. We've got to be really careful at the minute when it comes to pricing stuff up, because like a lot of the guys have said, if we like start all trying to undercut each other, or not necessarily us, but some guys in the trade, it starts to get to that silly low price where you guys are trying to bash something out as quickly as they can because they've gone in so tight on the price, and that's when the workmanship starts faltering, mate, and that's when like bad reputations start creeping in. And
I couldn't agree more. What I find happens a lot following that is often we'll price jobs and they'll say the plasterers jumped ship, and we'll say, well, what happened? And he said 1 minute he was working away and then he's just disappeared. And I said, what did he price? And he sort of do a bit of 10-minute math.
Yeah.
And you think, hang on a minute, you know, he's only just covered his materials and a few days' labour here.
Yeah.
And this job's like 6 weeks long. And I think that happens quite a bit where they go in too cheap, they get halfway along the job and realise I'm not going to earn any money on this, and they'll jump ship. It leaves the customer, you know, up X Creek without a paddle, and then the first to come in and sort it. But it's something I did when I first started, which was a silly strategy, which was I'm guilty of it myself, undercutting the more established businesses. I think it's something you do when you're young and you're maybe a little bit naive to business, and you think, well, if they're charging 200 a day, and it gets you the work, but then of course there's a reason that they're charging 200 a day. You know, you end up just spinning your wheels, you're not earning any profit, and you can't move forward. So I think we're all guilty of it. I know I did it when I was younger. You're hungry to get your name out there and get the work coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as pricing goes, we try and target customers that, you know, they're not looking for a cheap job, they're looking for quality.
Yeah.
And I think if you build your reputation up enough in the local area, the customers will come to you rather than you clawing away for the work.
Yeah.
And they'll actually come to you and say, I've heard about your reputation and we want you to do the job.
That's what you want, mate.
And it can often be in your price. Yeah. It can literally, sometimes it can be naming your price because they've had so much bad experience with rough plasterers. They just want a decent job and they're willing to pay you the right money for that.
I mean, one of the last jobs I did, well, I haven't done it yet, but I went to look at, and the people in there sort of said they'd had, well, 3 other quotes, but they were kind of like quotes where the guy walks in, has a look round and goes, 3 guys, £300 a day each guy, we'll be here about a week. And that was for a job that I looked at that I'll probably do it in a week on my own. And I basically gave him a verbal quote there and then, and some of the other guys as well. And I think someone else that gave him a quote was more or less a text message. Yeah, mate, this is how much it's going to cost. So, of course, then when I go around there and have a good old chat about whatever he wants to talk about, and then send him what looks like a professional quote. I hope it looks professional after all these years. Yeah, and he's kind of like, I just want you to do the job, whatever. You know, when you get customers that sort of say, when can you do this for me? And then they say, yeah, whatever it costs. You know, knowing that you're not going to skin them anyway. But that is lovely when it happens, mate. No. And that's how you want it to be.
Oh, it is, yeah.
At the end of the day.
Recommend. You can't beat recommendation, can you? I mean, even today, in options available to us, you still can't beat having your name put forward by somebody's mate said to them, look, use Eric, he'll do a top job for you. You've won the job before you're in the door, haven't you, half the time? Yeah,
if people can feel that their job's going to be, they haven't got to worry about it. It's got to take so much stress off of them compared to when you just get a guy you've never met in your life and thinking, well, I hope, hopefully you've done a bit of homework on them and it all pans out well, and then you use that same guy forevermore, which is generally how it tends to work. Once someone's used the spread and they're happy, they'll stick with that spread unless for some reason you just can't do a job on a particular date. But a lot of people will wait as well, which is fantastic stuff. Couple more bits here, mate. Hang on. Frankie, Danny, Plaster8, what's the most difficult job either of you have completed over the years? Most difficult job? It's been
Got me to go first.
Yeah, go on, mate. There's been a few.
I've got one on fresh on my mind.
All right.
So I was called in to do a big old job in Coventry City Centre at the Methodist Central Hall,
All right. Yeah, I know
and
it.
they had these huge. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big old.
Well, you'll know they've got these huge sweeping barreled ceilings.
Yeah.
And he says, "Look, we want you to overboard these and skim them."
Ceilings?
We set everything up. Yeah. Yeah. So we set all the trestles up. We got going, and unfortunately, Matt suffered a loss in the family,
All right.
and he actually had to have a week off.
Yeah.
Because he just lost his head, which I completely
Fair
understand.
enough.
But it left me on my bod,
Yeah.
tackling these, huge. I'll send you some. I'll email you
mate.
some
Yeah, I'd like to
pictures of
see
these
that.
absolutely insane size ceilings. And I had two options. One was to say to him, I can't do it, because all the other spreads that I knew were busy, they were stacked out.
Yeah.
Option two was to lob a little bit of extra time in and crack on, pull my socks up. So I ended up knocking up these big. I mean, it's not something you could sustain and do every day.
No.
But I ended up knocking up these big 5-bag drums of skin, and laying on these big barreled ceilings. And I did about 3 of them on my own.
But I'm impressed, mate.
I slept well, and I ate all my dinner up as well. That absolutely killed me. That was probably the hardest job I've done in the 20 years.
Oh, mate.
But I smashed it. I probably lost half a stone doing it as well.
There's always a plus there, mate. Yeah, don't go down the gym that night, mate.
No.
Yeah, I won't bore anyone with any of my jobs, or not tonight. Who's that? I was Danny again. Marshalltown 13x5 carbon steel. Best trowel I ever had, says Danny. What else we got here? Mark saying the customer may say. Oh, what's that say, Mark? It might be me, mate. Or it might be your typo. Peter Carter, I think, has joined us just recently, mate, because he knew tonight was on, and he's put, "Oops, I forgot." So I'm assuming that means he's here now. So hello, Pete, if you are.
Top man. Brilliant interview you did, by the way, on Fixed Radio. Really impressed.
Yeah, that was good, mate. Well done, Pete. Question: Hi guys, have you ever thought about spray plastering? Oh, I thought about it, mate, and that's all I've done. What about you, Stu?
I was made aware by it. I've obviously seen it on YouTube and whatnot, and mentioned it, but I got a good insight from Rich Welfare, one of the Trial Talk members. Hi, Rich, if you're watching. He does it full time, and he's merged from gypsum. He used to be a gypsum guy, and he's merged over to full time and spray paint.
Oh wow!
And as far as I'm aware, there's a big outlay involved, which I think is what puts most of us off.
The machine and stuff.
Machinery, I think he said about 10 grand is what you need to throw down. Which obviously, he raves about it, and he says it's an investment in your business and pays for itself and all the rest of it. So I suppose if you've lined up the demand, if you've got the demand there, and you've lined up X amount of months ahead of yourself, and secured that, then it'd probably be a really good avenue to go down. I've never tried it, and I haven't got a 10k.
No, join the club there, mate.
I'd love to give it a go. I think it's like you have to sand it down, don't you, the next day? Is that right?
I watched. I'll get these old people blocks in my memory. Plastering for Beginners. Blake Gray. And he did it. I think he went to the site where they. Was it gypsum? No, it's not British Gypsum that do that, is it? The spray plastering gear.
They might do it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's gypsum based or not.
Whatever this company was, he went there and he did a whole video on it. But when I was watching, it was kind of like, and even he said, like, you got to do all your joints prior to the spraying. If you like doing plasterballs and stuff, I'm thinking, right, okay, you got that to do. And then they say you're spraying, and I was watching, and I was thinking, okay, and it does go on fairly thin, this stuff. And then you're kind of putting a trowel over the top of it to kind of flatten it out. And you've got to get your timing right, which I suppose you would if you practice it enough. The outlay, like you say, for the machine. And at the end of it, mate, I just kind of thought, I'm getting on a bit. And if I was younger and I had 10 grand to spare, well, I definitely want to go on someone else's first before I went, you know what, yeah, I'm going to splash 10 grand and give that a go. Not?
I'd love to give it a go. And Rich has showed me some images. He shared a lot of stuff on the group,
Yeah.
and the finish looks absolutely flawless. And he's convinced that it's a higher quality finish than hand finished multi finish.
Right, okay.
Again, he just finished it with his spray paint as well. So that probably plays a part in it all. But yeah, it's a higher finish, a higher quality finish, according to Rich, and that means that his clients obviously go up.
Yeah.
And he aims at people that are looking for top end work that he's doing. So I think, like I say, if the market's there for it and you've got that, you're willing to invest that money.
Yeah.
It looks like it's the way plastering's heading, doesn't it? Everything seems to be getting sprayed on.
So I don't know.
It will your business.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take over in any like major hurry. Or there's just places that I think you can't spray.
I mean, for what me and you do in domestic jobs, it's probably not going to work out. Is it? By the time you've lugged up all the machinery into the bedroom, and you'd be better off knocking up multi-finish, and
Yeah.
But you'd have to have big old jobs, empty houses, and runs of wall, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if you can get that kind of work and a fair amount of it, and it's worth you giving it a go and all the rest of it. But I've got to admit, I've not seen any of this in real life, like finishes with the spray plastering to sort of go, oh, you know what, that ain't, but that's pretty lovely, or they're like, for the money and for all the rest of it, and it might be quicker once you get the hang of it, like a lot of things are. But it's definitely, I think even if I was a bit younger, I just don't think it's for me. Oh, but after donkey's years of spreading.
We're set in our ways now.
Yeah, that's all it is, mate. So just ignore me, guys, if you think spray plastering's a really great idea. Now, hang on, what's this here? So, mate, Paul Manning will be your tutor. I don't know if that might be Andy talking to someone else. Zoltar, why are you talking about sponge floating? Hang on, I don't really know, but isn't the advantage of spray plastering literally just in the speed of laying on? I wouldn't have thought that the finish was any different if you have to trowel it. Yeah, I can't say really.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that's watching that's interested in learning a little bit more, say the man to speak to is Rich Welfare.
Rich Welfare
on Trowel Talk.
I think.
If they punch that in, you see his work pop up, and he's just in the process of putting together some content on YouTube, all based around spray. Get all the words right. Spray plastering.
Yes, because I think it must have been him that I saw on there like a while back, and he was like, oh, you say, like loving it, going, oh, this is the way to go, spray plastering, and I'm pretty sure they had videos up and stuff of big kitchens and stuff he'd done and ceilings.
You can't miss him. You can't miss his videos because they're top notch, and he's got his van. He's got his. I think it's a Ford Transit Custom, if I'm right. Really smart,
mate.
Van,
yeah, they are nice. No, I've seen him on there, mate.
Yeah, he's the man to talk to, mate, on the spray plastering.
Yeah. Oh well. What else we got here? Hang on, mate. No, that's just a couple of guys having a chat to each other. 5 weeks skimming, 5 weeks rendering. That's still the guys talking to each other. Yeah. Well, a couple more questions I want to ask you, mate, or is it just the? Hang on, what have I got here? Yeah, we've covered your injury free. One of the most important questions that, anyone that I ever interview, I will be asking them this question. It's extremely important, mate. So if the guys are listening, and if you're not, listen up. Stuart, bacon sandwich, mate, brown sauce or tomato ketchup?
You're right, it's a really important one, and it has to be tomato ketchup for me, mate. Every time.
Oh, I'm a brown sauce man.
Oh, you let me down.
See, this is why I like plastering, see, mate. See, I like brown sauce. You like ketchup, and nothing wrong with that. Well, we're both right.
If you knock me up a bacon sandwich and you accidentally put brown on there, because it's you, I would eat it.
Oh, bruv.
But if it's anyone else, it'd be launched across the room. I'd be like, no, ketchup.
I said, if I did it by mistake, mate, I said, don't worry, Stu, I'll have that one. You can have the next one with the old ketchup on it, mate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a ketchup man.
Cool. See if we've got anything else in here. Andy, bacon sandwich, red sauce, and a cheese slice. Well, actually, I have it. Yeah, a cheese slice with on a bacon sandwich is quite nice.
I wouldn't turn it away. I wouldn't turn it
No.
away. I try it.
You got to experiment. It's a bit like sausages and jam, mate.
Yeah, I've never been into a cafe and they've said, "Do you want a cheese slice thrown in, mate?" I'd be like,
I'll give it a go.
you know,
I think it's one of those things. If you give it a try, and you go, "Oh bloody hell, that's nice," and then the next every time you go in there, it's like, "Well, have a bacon sandwich with a cheese slice on there, please, mate." I love.
Yeah, some funny looks.
Yeah, mate. Right, I think Stu. I mean, I'm going to carry on and have a bit of a chat. You're welcome. You're welcome to hang around, mate, and just have a bit of a waffle with the anyone that wants a waffle. What's that? Beef burger, chili, jam, and peanut butter. Oh yeah, favourite of mine, that one. Dear bacon sandwich. Oh yeah.
Beef burger, chili, jam, peanut butter. That's got to be American,
so, mate.
surely. Where's he from?
Oh, that's just Andy. Where you from, Andy? Wayne. Oh, here's Wayne. Wayne don't like talking much or typing or making jokes or poetry. Or thanks for that, Wayne. You fill up the forum today, mate, with some of your stuff. Wayne's talking to Andy. Andy, yeah, I know it. I don't know what you know. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Oh, they're talking about working hard, I think, mate. Talking about working hard by the sounds of it.
I don't know anything about that. Too busy putting out content, aren't we?
Yeah, Andy's in Wolverhampton. That's Andy that likes the beef burger, chili, jam, and peanut butter. But yeah, it's very Yankee, mate. Yeah, peanut butter and jam and
peanut butter
banana. Yeah, and yellow jello.
Yeah.
I think it's jello jam. I couldn't make out when they said that whether they meant them actually had jelly or like you have at parties.
I reckon if you showed an American our jam with all the strawberry bits and seeds in it and stuff, they wouldn't know what's going on. No, that's not jello.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, excuse me just a second, mate. Hi, anyone that's watching, you've tuned in to Ask the Plasterer with me, Eric the Plasterer, and this evening I've been interviewing Stuart Roberts of Trout Talk. Normally on here, you still can. You can ask questions of me, whether you're a newbie, whether you're time served spread, anything in between. And while Stuart's here as well, he'll be quite happy. Tell me when you want to go home, Stuart. I know you're at home, mate, but tell me when you go. I have enough now.
Okay, I'll be all right till 8 o'clock.
Okay, mate, we're good for another 10 minutes then.
I can hang about late.
Yeah, well, okay, cool.
Yeah. While I've got you on air, actually, Eric, Matt is showing a keen interest in your video, your fitness stuff that you spoke about. And he's been practicing because he's always had a keen interest in handstands, pull-ups, and running. So he's always looked after himself in that way. And what he's trying to do at the minute is he's trying to master the planche. The planche. He's seen your
how old is he?
YouTube videos where you.
Right. Okay. Oh, blimey,
33.
Spring chicken.
He's 34. Yeah, and he's seen your image where you're on. I think you're on like a beer barrel.
Oh, that's
in the garden.
Yeah, your elbows are supporting like against your body on that one, but proper planche is like because I've got bent arms in that. It's a straight arm planche. But basically, you're kind of like your feet. You've probably seen it, mate. Okay. You just have to Google it. Yeah, I mean it's impressive.
He tried it on.
It is so hard, mate. It's untrue. The strength you have to build up basically in your shoulders to do that. And all the training that I did when I was like heavily into trying to get a planche together, I was starting to do okay with trying to do back levers and front levers where you like hold on to a bar and you're putting your legs out straight, and don't have too much of a problem with that. But the planche, mate, you have literally got to practice it every single day, more or less. And
and he was sort of leaning like right forward, and I said in a minute, mate, you're going to smash your chin off the floor because his whole body was leaning forward, and he said this is the hardest thing I've ever tried to do in my life.
Cheers,
and he said to me, ask him. He said when he gets out out practicing.
Yeah, dude. I just a shout out to Anthony Parry's joined us, mate. Evening, boys. You're both doing great. Oh, thanks, mate. Work spreading the knowledge. Keep up the great work. Yeah, lovely. Cheers, me old dear. Anthony's nearly on. He's nearly on 2,000 subscribers. Or we might have cracked it since I last looked, mate. Because his channel's growing so blooming fast. You know, he's trying.
He's smashed.
Go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah. The last video I watched was him doing a bit of line repair work on some old property.
Yeah.
It was like a pre-bagged, I can't remember what it's called now, Limelight, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It was like a pre-bagged renovation plaster.
Yeah, yeah.
And a plastic video, honestly. Yeah, he's really smashing it.
They're all so varied. He does such a variation of different types of plastering, mate, and he bashes those videos out practically every single Tuesday without fail. And if he gets behind, he apologises and says, "Oh, mate, you know, it's going to come out Wednesday instead of Tuesday." And you think, well, if you look at Eric's record, you know, oh, should I try and get a video out this month or perhaps next month? Which isn't great for channel growth, but
I've got more. I think mine's more raw. Let's call it raw. But when I watch Anthony's channel and Alex, it's so polished and everything's real. I think
some lovely editing,
like
mate.
Like you, he knows the stuff when it comes to the editing side of it.
Yeah,
I'm still
definitely. Well, I watch a lot of Anthony's and think, well, you've done a lovely job editing that, mate. Puts me to shame.
Yeah.
But Pete Carter said stilts versus scaffold. It's got to be stilts for me, mate. And work tool boots for you, brother, isn't it?
Work tool boots. Again, we've spoke about this before, but I tried out the stilts years ago. Stupidly, I tried them out in a loft conversion of all places.
Ooh.
And
You're too tall, mate.
Like Bambi, I was, mate. Yeah. Took, I think I've come off them 3 times in the first week, and the last fall was I really bashed me knee quite bad.
Yeah.
And I just said to Matt, these are made for me. I know a lot of guys say you need to get through that and just keep at it. I know you're a big fan of the stilt.
Oh, I love them, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, because most of our ceilings are 2.4, most of them. I found that the 18-inch stilts were just that little bit too tall for me, and I was a little bit too close. So
yeah, it's no good, mate.
Yeah, work tool boots are a game changer for me. I know they're not for everybody, they're like Marmite, but for me, as soon as I put them on, I thought these feel so light and easy to use. And once you get over the fact that they are a bit clumsy and they've got a large footprint compared to
just getting used to that.
Stilt.
Yeah.
Once you get over that side of it,
not as large as strapping a milk crate to your feet, though, mate.
No,
we used to do that back in the day.
We used to scrim tape some 100mm Celotex to try and get the cross trowel. Yeah. Or the alternate scaff planking everything out.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If someone sets up a site with scaffold, I'm happy to jump up on there and work off a scaffold, mate. Lovely. But it's the trying to incorporate it into a job, pricing in for it, the time it takes to put it up, take it down. And before I had stilts, that's what I used to do. Because different rooms you might go in, you need to make sure you've got different lengths of scaffold boards. If they're too long, they're not that good. If you've hired them, you don't want to be sawing them down.
Exactly.
So
I've done times.
Yeah, I would like to I've hired them out and then had to just literally add that price onto the client's bill or quote, and then of course you get it all in. You've got to get it all out. Either take it back yourself, get it picked up by the company you've hired it from, and it's such a palaver. And so when got the
storage as well, like where to put all this stuff.
Exactly, mate. And bringing it home and shoving it wherever, then because you can't leave it on a motor because it won't be there anymore.
I did that for years, and in the back garden.
Yeah.
And the missus just said, "Look, it's getting silly now. We're starting to landscape now. We've got all these bloody scaff planks and trestles everywhere."
Yeah.
I've just got a secondary garage, a little lock-up.
Yeah.
About half a mile away from the house. So all the old cement mixers and the planks. I haven't got many trestles, about 3.
Yeah.
They all get in there, and it's freed up so much space. But I said to Matt, if this keeps going, and the more equipment you buy, and you've got the expense of the lockups and all the rest of it. Maybe we need to look at the stilts again. For these big tools. Because the work tool boots, they only get you far.
Yeah.
All right on the 8-foot ceilings, but as soon as you've got a 10-foot, you're knackered. Then you
Yeah.
start blanking everything out again. So
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
have to fight the and try again with them.
I mean, because with scaffolding as well, I could never. On some initially, I might make sure I had enough scaffold balls to properly deck it out with no traps in it, so there's no holes you could put your foot through.
Yeah.
But other times, mate, you know, I'd have to like separate them and have a foot gap in between each plank. So as you're like cross troweling, you're like that, going along, looking up, down, making sure you step on the plank and not on a hole. Which you did get the hang of, but oh, mate, dangerous days they were.
Mentioned the big ceilings that I did in Methodist Central Hall.
Yeah.
You know, but because of that very reason that you just mentioned, the booby trap.
Yeah.
I ended up getting about 12 sheets of 18mm OSB board
Over the top.
I just lobbed them over the top and drywalled them in.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it makes life so much easier when it comes to cross troweling. Because, like you say, part of your brain's always thinking. You make one little wrong step. You know.
A sharp trowel in your hand, near your neck.
Yeah, well, I can't remember who it was now. They were saying they had a big nasty scar on their arm.
Yeah.
And he actually fell on his Marshall town, sliced his wrist open.
Ooh.
And you know, it's always in the back of your mind, isn't it? Whenever you're working away, one little trip, it could end in tears. So a little tip when I'm watching. Get yourself some OSB boards, as long as you've got somewhere to store them, obviously. Just keep reusing. Stick them straight over your scaff planks, and you've made yourself a little platform.
What we need to do, mate, is move to America, buy a huge truck, and just put everything you need on it. OSB boards, scaffold boards, the whole shebang, and a huge garage on the side of your big American house where you can park it in of a night time. So you ain't got to worry about people nigging stuff. You know, and then you just go to a job, turn up with your bus. You couldn't park it around here, mate. But over there, people's houses seem to have massive drives, and they've got huge roads and something else, mate. Right, I'm going to let you go, Stu, because it's like about 1 minute to 8.
It's time for me to do my fatherly duties now, I'm afraid.
Go and do your fatherly duties, mate. Stuart, thanks ever so much for coming along tonight. Guys, if any of you, I think most of you are, but if any of you are not on Trowel Talk, the Facebook group, get yourself signed up on there. You won't regret that. And also don't forget to check out Stuart's YouTube channel of the same name. And again, Stuart, cheers, mate. When I turn you off, I'll probably accidentally turn myself off as well, but we're about to find out.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
See you
mate.
again.
See you soon. Hey. Right, there you go, guys. Time for another cup of tea. Hey, you're not wrong. Joel, hello, mate. I haven't seen you for a while, mate. You've been a busy boy. He's a busy boy. Hang on, let's try and get poor old Stuart off this screen. No, right, it doesn't matter. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's pop over here. Here we go. Oh dear. Oh well, yeah. Thanks, Stuart. That was absolutely. Well, the first one, mate. The first interview for me, nerve-wracking, especially at the beginning, trying to get the old technology working. We kind of got it. And it appears everyone could see and hear everything. Guys, all your questions are being recorded, apart from on here anyway, on the on the community forum in the I remember what I've called it now, but there's a page on there that'll have all these questions on it, so I can whip through those. Anything you might want answers to that me and Stuart might have missed early on, or the things you might want to put to Stuart. Anything you type up here will automatically come up there as well, so we can go over those and maybe get back to you on some of that stuff, which would be quite good. Alex, hello, mate. Have you just popped in? I don't know if you've missed the fantastic interview we just had with with Stuart. I'm assuming you've got that school all finished now, mate, and you're back at home. Is that the case? Yep, Alex. Yeah, he's a quality vlogger, mate. Quality producer of plastering videos. and yeah, I'm off the back of Pete Carter mentioned it. For those of you that know Pete on here, he said, "Why don't you do a frequently asked questions page, and maybe like put videos and stuff on there?" And I've just done a little bit of I'm experimenting with that at the minute. But a lot of people say, "Oh, what should the timings be for when you're doing setting?" And I put a link to so Alex one about timing is up on there, and then there's another one about can you just bond over Artex, or how can you cover Artex ceilings? And I put one of my videos bonding over Artex. I put one of Stuart's because Stuart does it slightly differently, and putting stuff on there like that. So I will be putting, I'm sure the guys won't mind, links there that brings those videos up for the other guys' channels. Be it Anthony, be it Stuart, be it my own ones, be it any of the other guys, be it Alex's, they'll be up on there as well. Obviously you need to be on the forum for that, but it's all good stuff. Let's put the old glasses on. I'm struggling with my old man reading. Kieran, hello mate. Nice to see you. All done another school. All done. Oh, well done, Alex. Nice one. Another school in May. Oh man. I'm assuming it all went well, mate, and you've done videos to show us all how it should be done. Good show listening to you doing Asda. That is dedication, Silver. Oh dear. Hope you've got headphones on, mate, and you haven't just got it playing loud out of your phone. Oh dear. Heard half of it. Oh, okay, Alex. Cool. Well, as you know, mate, it's it will be available once it's all done. It'll be up on YouTube and Facebook, and yeah. Yeah, looking forward to you finding out more about the school, mate, and I'm pretty sure you've must have been filming while you were there. I don't know if one of your latest vids was from the school or not. Okay, for anyone else that is listening in, this is Ask the Plasterer with me, Eric the Plasterer. We normally just have guys typing in, ringing in. We normally have a phone line going, so you can call in to the pub, the old Hawk and Trow. But we didn't have that tonight because of the interview. So, Richard, Eric, now I made a channel. I thought it would be cool to do a plastering video, maybe a day in the life. What camera equipment would you suggest? Really quite good quality, where you can get a lot of your picture in, wide-angled lens-wise. Is the GoPros, mate. GoPros. They're good quality. Get really nice picture. They vary in price. You can pick up a second-hand one, but you're looking at to buy new. You're looking at somewhere between the £300 to £400 mark. And obviously they get more expensive. So many different types of cameras out there, but the good thing about it is they're waterproof. I think in one of my videos I've stuck it in the bottom of a bucket that I was filling up with water just just to see if it was definitely waterproof, and it definitely is. And in this game, when you're using cameras, obviously you've got to be careful with your plaster, but at least if you do drop them in a bucket of water or get water all over them, it's not going to wreck your camera, which with most other nice cameras, they're not waterproof. So that may be my suggestion to you, mate, for doing your videos. Nathan, okay, question from a diver. I swear at 1mm thick, I'm not getting 20mm per square bag of multi-finish. More like, is that right? Or maybe I'm laying on a bit thicker than you think. Yeah, mate, I've said to other people before, you can't really judge bags of plaster and litres of water and how much actual litres of plaster or in volume that you've got when you finish mixing up. It is approximately the same, but I've had cases where I've mixed up a bag. I've put just over just over a bucket and a bit of water normally does 1 bag of finish. But there has been other times where I put that in and it was far too thick, so I've added a little bit more, still too thick, and ended up putting like a bucket and a half in to get it to the right consistency. But another time, if you put a bucket and a half of water into a big tub and stuck 1 bag of finish in it, it would just be far too thin. So that obviously the bags aren't that accurate. So I'd never mix up gear by trying to precisely measure anything. Thickness wise, if you're not covering the square meterage that you think you should, yeah, you're probably putting it on too thick. It might be drying too quickly. If you're using it thinner, depending on what your substrate is, what you've got on the back, obviously if you're going over bonding that you've done the same day, it will have that bit of suction in it. And if you mix your finish up slightly too thick, that first coat you put on there is going to be a little bit, well, it's going to be more than 1 mil, and you're not going to cover the area. But what you'll find, Nathan, I don't know how long you've been spreading, is that basically the longer you do it, you know how many bags approximately you will need to do a wall, a couple of walls, a whole room. At the end of the day, trying to work out how many bags you want by measuring the square meterage. You can always get an approximate, obviously, if you're doing a big job and you need to order quite a lot of gear, but it's very easy to over order plaster, and just as easy to under order it. But again, depends how big the jobs are that you're going on. I tried going thinner, but couldn't seem to get the full 20. Yeah, as I say, Nathan, you just got to like crack on, and it will always vary slightly. But practice makes perfect, mate. James was thinking of buying some long hop-ups for a better working platform for doing my ceilings, as I never use stilts. Does anyone else here use this method? I mean, I used to use couple of platforms and put a plank across, or a couple of ladders with a plank across, and use that. But you're always having to shift the things along if you're not decking out a floor completely, and you're doing that, then it's a little bit awkward sometimes, a bit time consuming. But stilts stilts are great. So I'm just using for donkey's years. And obviously I'm doing a ceiling that's quite low, yeah, but sorry Matt, James, I'm waffling. Yeah, a lot of guys will use a couple of platforms and planks across, or a big platform on wheels that you can roll a little bit at a time. But again, I find those things can be more time consuming when you're spreading something on that's big. I mean, if you have got a labourer and you're spreading and he's pushing your trolley along as you go, and you've got a nice flat floor to roll it on, then yeah, that works. Dear. Okay. What time are we at? 08:10. That's not too bad. I'm going for a little bit longer. Thanks, Eric. Good to know. I'm not going mad. No, you're not going mad, mate. I guess you want to be mixing on the excess side anyway. Yeah, I always mix on the excess side. That's why I've always got so much rubbish to take home, because I would rather have too much in a mix than not quite enough and have to knock up a fresh one. And especially if I've hit a ceiling and there's not a quarter of it, but just a corner you haven't done, and you have to put any fresh mix on that bit. And of course it's not going to go off with the rest of the lid, so yeah, it's not great. So I always make sure I've knocked up plenty for what I'm doing at the end of the day. Jason, I'm 6'5", don't need hop-ups when skimming ceilings. Jason, there's always a good reason to be tall, mate, and that is one of them. That is one of them. Yeah, I've known some guys that were big enough to just, when they weren't playing basketball, skimming ceilings for them, mate, was a breeze. Unless they were really low ceilings. But yeah, no, if you don't need them, mate, it's great. It's one of the advantages to being tall. Just one. The best way to do ceilings is to not do ceilings. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's like, yeah. Oh dear. Like it. For anyone that's tuned in that doesn't normally come along here, I'm Eric the Plasterer. This is Ask the Plasterer, where you can ask any plastering related questions. It's for newbies right through to time served spreads, anything in between, DIYers, any questions you want answered. Mostly normally by myself, by these guys that are regulars that come along. Tonight we had an interview with Stuart Roberts from Trail Talk. This is Stuart over here, and yeah, so if you missed that, you can watch this on, not catch up, is it? You can watch the video as opposed to the live, and see it in all its glory. And yeah, but we had that earlier, so weren't getting many questions answered. Again, any customers out there, potential customers, if you've got any questions you want answered regards plastering or plasterers, then this was also the place to come to do that. But we'll be carrying on till about 8:30, so we've got about another 15 minutes. All going well. Normally the time flies by, but I feel like I've been talking for hours. But that's probably because I'm not used to doing an interview as well with Stuart. That was great. Did you get your worktop on, Eric? Mark, I did, mate. I've got the worktop in. I've got the electric oven in. I've got the gas hob in. It's been a nightmare, mate, but I got there. Yeah, I still got some top units to do, but I will pop up if I remember when I come down. I'll pop a picture up on the forum. If any of you guys are on there yet, link in the descriptions of most of my videos. We'll send you an invite if you click on it to our plastering forum community, where you can chat with me, a lot of the other guys, and put up pictures and all sorts of stuff. And generally we have a chit chat more or less every day on there about one thing or another, have a bit of a laugh as well, and saves having to wait for Ask the Plasterer to come round in a fortnight's time to ask any questions. On the next Ask the Plasterer, I think Anthony Parry, I think he's next on the list. I can't remember now. What was it, Alex? Anyway, yeah, I will put a little ad out to let you know definitely he was on the next Ask the Plasterer interview, and I'm really looking forward to that. After that one with Stuart tonight, so we've got a lot more to learn. We'll be talking to Anthony, to Alex, to Joel as well from Rendervate. And Rendervate? Yeah, sorry, it's because of Danny's Plastervate. I don't want to get me vates mixed up. Oh dear. If you need to do a number 2 in the back of your van, do you use a flexi tub as they don't hold your weight? I've seen one of the guys' vans, he's got an actual porta potty in the back, which there has been the odd occasion where you'd pay money to use that or to have that kind of thing in the back of your motor. If you're on a job somewhere in the middle of where you can't get to any other toilet, and let's be fair, lads, you really don't want to stink out the customers' loo if you can help it, and you're not near enough to home to quickly shoot home before you put another set on. Plus it throws your sets right out for the day. Dear. Tool belt, mate. Oh, hang on. James, which stilts the most spreads recommend, and what's the easiest and safest way to learn? Someone mentioned try walking across a damp field to start with. Don't try walking across a damp field, James. Oh, wait, to Joel. Hello, who's that? Oh, Danny, yeah. Joel inspired you, mate. And rightly so, rightly so. Yeah, stilts wise, James, my stilts were Dura stilts. They were from the States. They were about 400 and odd quid, but I've had them for over 20 years, mate. And they have had new straps in that time, but generally they've lasted the distance. You can get a lot cheaper stilts. That more or less how they're designed and how they work is the same, but for a lot less money than that. If you have a little shop around, via Amazon, preferably via one of my links in my videos. no, don't going outside or walking on any kind of dodgy or uneven ground in plaster and stilts is not a good idea. To be safe, you just walk on them indoors. Don't go outside with them on, because you're asking for trouble. And you strap them on, and initially you just walk around a room, your hallway, with your hands on the wall, and on the ceiling, just to slowly get the hang of walking on them. And once, and it comes fairly quickly, the knack of like the balance and stuff. And then you might like walk across the room. I mean, you can still at first put your hands on the ceiling if that makes you feel better or safer. And then eventually you will start to think, right, okay, I've got to try and walk around the room with a hook and trowel in my hand. And then you just kind of progress with like putting gear on it and kind of leaning back. This is just practicing without any gear actually on it. Just to think, yeah, I can comfortably lean back on these stilts without the fear of taking a topple backwards. Oh dear. Yeah. No, they're lovely. They are lovely stilts, my old stilts. But yeah, if you start using stilts and you get used to them, I don't think you will ever not use them. Again, if you're an extremely tall guy, if you're really tall, like the other guy said, you can reach the ceilings without anything on your feet. If you're a little bit taller, like Stuart, say 6'1", 6'2", the walk tall boots, work tall. I'm never quite sure what they're called. Walk tall boots. Yeah, they can be quite good, but I'm 5'11", and they're not quite high enough for me. And if you overstretch your arm, you'll get shoulder issues. You need to be at the perfect kind of bend if you don't want to get issues with your shoulders and your elbows. If you're having to do that, you're going to suffer. But take it from an experienced man who knows. So Richard, Alex been trying the 14x4 cement trowel. Very good. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Danny, I've got a decent pair of Marshalltown stilts. If anyone wants to buy them, collect from Bristol. Why are you getting rid of them, Danny? Are they spares, mate, or did you decide you've given them a go and it's not for you? I've got to admit, at one point when I first bought them, I was that nervous getting on them originally that I thought, I've just blown all that money and I'm not going to use these things because I'm not comfortable on them. But what made it easier for me was I had them on their lowest setting, because you really want ones that you can adjust up to like twice the height. And I did a really tall, or attempted to do a much taller than your average ceiling with them, so I had to extend them up high, and that was nerve-wracking, proper nerve-wracking. But when you go from doing that and then you bring them back down to the normal setting, suddenly you feel like you're just on the floor. It's like coming off a motorway. If you've been doing a ton up on a motorway, and then when you get onto a normal 30-mile-an-hour road, you feel like you could get out of the car and just walk next to it, because it feels like you're going that slow, but you're not, of course. And it was the same with the stilts for me. So after I had them up far too high for my liking, when I brought them back down to their basic height for a standard ceiling, happy as Larry, and been using them for donkey's years ever since. What have you put? Not for me, mate. Plus, I need to lose weight, so the hop-ups or step-ups will do. Fair enough, Danny. Yeah, I suppose hop-ups and step-ups will keep you fit. Yeah, I'll give you that. What trowel is that, Alex? Is that one that you was? It's not the one you've given away, mate, is it? In recent times. Best trowel out of the box you've tested. I'll have a whip through you. I'll have a whip through your videos, mate. We're doing for time. Oh, 8:21. 8:21. So, guys, we'll go on till about past and then knock it on the head. I think we only had one slightly abusive, but during our interview, someone having a bit of a moan about something. But they're best ignored. Marshalltown 14 cement shell, carbon steel. Oh. you can't beat a carbon trowel anyway at the end of the day. They wear in a lot quicker and a lot nicer. Oh dear. Right guys, and this is to say anyone that's not been along before, I'm Eric the Plasterer. I'm a plasterer in South London, been a plasterer for 37 years. This is Ask the Plasterer, and you can ask any kind of plastering related questions on Ask the Plasterer, and either myself or one of the guys will be able to give you an answer. We normally have a phone line in, but we're doing some interviews at the moment, so I don't think I could cope with a phone call as well as doing an interview and trying to read the messages. But I might definitely try that one week, so that you can actually, when I'm interviewing someone, you'll be able to ring in and ask questions. I will try it because you got to onward and upwards. Just not for the first one that was today or tonight. So yeah. Yeah. Any of your questions you want answered, plastering related, this is a place to come. Talk to me and the other guys. And if you're a customer or a potential customer, anything you want to know about plasterers or plastering, we're more than happy to help. Wayne, would you add a butt of cement, is that a bucket of cement, to make your bonding or hardwall go off a bit quicker? I'll just stick with it. I'll just stick with the additives, mate. You can put cement into gear to make it go off quicker. There's lots of things you can mess around with when it comes to trying to slow down a set or speed it up. But obviously not. I use the easy mix gear. Because I know what I'm getting and I know how many sachets to put in with how many bags, and it works great for me. So I don't like to experiment too much. I used to a little bit, but I tended to find whatever I tried to do, whether it was speed blaster up by putting dirty water in it or old water from previous mixes, or slow it down by putting something else in it, and it never really worked for me. So I didn't bother, and I've only been using additives in the last couple of years, really. But yeah, it's all good stuff. Yeah, Wayne, if you want to put cement in a bit of bonding, I'd only do it if you're doing a small patch that you want to go off fairly rapidly. If you're doing a larger area, you want to be a bit careful with whatever kind of thing you put in there for making it go off quick. Because bonding, even if you mix it well, bonding can go a bit, as it sets, can go a bit lumpy before it's before the whole thing goes. Sadly, it doesn't quite go off the same as finish. Okay. Right, guys, I think I'm going to call it for me. I want to call it an evening. I'm a bit 5 minutes early, but why not? Let's finish ahead, because I think last week I probably ran over. So, not going to run over tonight. Guys, thanks for coming as ever. It's been a pleasure to have you lot along. After Plasterer would just be a lonely old place without you at the old Hawken Trail. Being in the pub on your own, it's quite nice when you want to be on your own and just have a quiet pint and sit by the fire. But not when you want to have a chat with your mates. So, thanks a lot, guys, for coming along. Thanks for listening to the interview with me and Stuart. And as I say, I'll see you in a fortnight's time, unless I see you before that on one of my videos or on the old plastering forum. Oh, well, my community forum. Oh, yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate a lot of you. All right, I'm gonna fade myself to the back, turn my microphone off so I don't say something embarrassing about myself, and. Yeah, oh, hang on, what's that? How much? Oh, no, it's gone off my screen. Sorry, something to do with extra time. Maybe I missed the interview. Yeah, Kieran, you can watch the video after this. Once this live stream is finished, it shouldn't be that long before the video pops up. So you can watch the interview on there, mate. And in the bit that you've watched already, because you've been a part of it, you can think, oh, well, I've seen that bit. Alright, this is it, guys. Cheers for again, and I will speak to you all very soon. Don't work too hard, and yeah, stay safe and all that other stuff. See you soon, guys. Take care.